You know poetry dropping when the pen clicks, and poets get up popping with the pen click. You're now rocking with Kuya David, the prime poetry prime minister. I'm here with my brother Daniel Hees, the chubby fat god, and today we are blessed with the magnanimous presence of the critically acclaimed writer, poet, director, father, all-around cowboy. You know what it is because he's so official, even his bootlegs get royalties, you know what I mean? We have Alex Alpharaoh in the building. Let's get it.
Can you spare some change? Not decayed enough to be dead, okay enough to be led out the hospital bed in a semi-fetal pose, being strolled out in a wheelchair one size too small, which I was asked to get up from once they discovered that my limited Medi-Cal benefit didn't fully cover me at County USC. I could use some change. I told them I was a veteran. Thanks for serving was the rhetoric. As I was given a box of clean needles but no bill of clean health, told my diabetes is uncontrolled, the chronic kidney disease is taking toll, malnourishment from strolls to the dollar menu items of fast food, fine dining, charge it to my EBT. Do you need that change? I tried signing up for affordable health care at the health fair. Didn't qualify for welfare when I had that AIDS scare, but I received SSI. Trust me, it's not enough to get me by, especially since I can't find a decent 9 to 5. Although I've tried, but I get denied because a P.O. box on the address line means I probably sleep outside. Do you know of change? I haven't seen a check in months. I tried opening a bank account, but I didn't have identification, lacked the proper documentation, was missing information on the application. Each question I skipped killed a bit more of my motivation while increasing my hesitation. Ran out of anxiety medication with no more refills. Do you need that change? Regretted coming inside the bank because I was rudely asked by security, who was told by the management, who was cued by customer sentiment, that I was to leave my cart across the street. So much for setting up direct deposit. Do you save your change? As I leave, I'm fined by Officer Swine. As I leave, I'm fined by Officer Swine. As I leave, I'm fined by Officer Swine, who cited me for leaving my cart full of trash on the corner of Olive and 9th. Get your shit together and clean up your life. But I sleep on park benches on a newspaper mattress, using the business section as my blanket. I shower at the gym, that's why I smell like citrus. I am the byproduct of inside trades and ill riches, backdoor deals and lost ideals. So let me ask y'all, can I get some change?
Let's get it, bro. Let's get it.
Bless the God. Alex Alpharaoh, the superstar in the cut. Killing it. As always, all the time. Kuya, how you living?
I'm chilling, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to get Pen Click off the ground. Yo, excited for this thing to drop. So, yo, by the time you see this, who knows? It's like this might be the last episode. This might be the first episode. But just understand that, yo, a lot of work, a lot of pressure, a lot of like love is going into this game, and like, yo, we're excited to get this out.
Yeah, and what a better representation of that love than our boy, Alex Alpharaoh,
who was on our first dev episode, who has been this is like our day
primordial
one
pen click.
Exactly.
Proto pen click, dog.
Yo, they met like on one of my poetry clashes, my first and only poetry clash. Like, I had a little poetry slam on the Prime Poetry YouTube channel. Y'all should check that out. And that's where they met. And yo, like, here we are, like, full circle again, man. Alex Alpharaoh being like the one that binded us together. It's like, without Alex, there would be no Pen Click, is what it is.
Word.
Bro.
Getting it. Bless, man. Welcome to the clique.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's all love, man. I appreciate both of you cats, because not only do I admire the work that you do, but you know, you guys keep me on my pens and Q's and T's and I's.
Pens
because
and Q's, let's go, bro. Ballers out the gate on deck, bro. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. No, I really appreciate, you know, the love and support. And because you guys are OGs in the game, you guys have been doing this for an eternity and a day, man. You know, so, you know, I like to fuck with cats that understand that it's about levels, but it's about community. It's about reaching out. It's about the love, like what you're saying, Lazaro. It's dope, man. And it's my privilege and my honor to be here, because you guys are giving me a platform that for years I never had. You know? And so for me to be here, you guys are blessing me, not the other way around. You know what I mean? So thank you.
I appreciate you. Hey, let's get into it then. As we get to that platform, we'll jump right into threads and lines.
This is all first verse. All first verse. You about to get this work.
Threads and line is the part of the show where we're gonna take the piece that Alpharaoh just spit.
We're gonna
get into like some of the threads and lines of that piece. Talk to Alex about some of the life events and struggles, and even lack of struggles sometimes, that inform the piece that we just heard. So Kuya, you got something off the rip?
Yeah, like the first lines, like just the way it sets the tone is like so impressive. what is it? Not decayed enough to be dead. Okay enough to be led out of the hospital bed. It's like within those 3 lines, like you know where you are or where the guy is. Like, you know like the setting, you know their condition, you know the situation. It's like how you were able to, with such brevity to craft like the setting. It's almost as if like maybe this is from personal experience, which is why he's able to dig deep, or is it just like master artistry of the pen, like because you are an actor and a writer and a director, so like I understand like maybe you have that in your skill set that like, oh, you could go from anyone's perspective and write it out, but I also know like you have like a very interesting past, so I was wondering like, can you expand upon like how you got into that mindset and perspective when you wrote this out?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it has a lot to do more with altruism and empathy and being able to, because our collective experience as a whole directly ties us to anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
So when I look at a homeless person out in the street, you know, I don't look at someone as, oh man, that's a homeless person. You know, let me not look at them. I used to for years when I was ignorant,
right.
and I'm still ignorant to a lot of things. But now I look at a person and I say, this is the result of society failing. They are the result. Exactly, in that empathy. And so that empathy allows me to put myself in this person's shoes, because I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to go without and to be appreciative, like to have anything and any kind of help and support. And so when I was writing this piece, it was more about making an honest effort to understand the person that is going through that struggle, and accepting their pain, even if it's momentarily, because that's where I find the truth of what I do is by allowing myself to become part of that person's journey, as uncomfortable, as painful, as ugly, as scary as it may be. That's where I find the root and the source of their truth when I make it my own.
How much $1 costs, man? That's what's
exactly,
up. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
How much $1 costs, right?
And they'd hit me on some, like, on a personal tip, because you expound upon that idea, and again, building that scene and that imagery.
Yeah.
You get into like a semi-fetal position pose, being strolled out in a wheelchair, one size too small, and then you go on to identify County USC, and like I've spent some time in County USC, and it's fucking cracking, dog. Like it's a scary fucking place.
Exposition Boulevard,
and you see that shit, like
the
that
disparity. Word,
that is like a real thing you see in county, like people being wheeled out of county, not ready to leave county, in equipment that fucking barely works, in a wheelchair that doesn't fit them. You know what I'm saying? Like
you go up and down Skid Row, you find a bunch of like just like medical bracelets, like all up and down on the gutter. You know what I'm saying?
And being like a Los Angelino, like if you heard that line and you never called out county, we would know exactly what the fuck you were talking about. That shit does not happen at Cedar. You know what I'm saying? Like
not at all.
That shit is happening at county all day. Every day. And again, building that scene like that fucking, if you from LA, you know exactly what
which makes me wonder, like for anyone listening and for anyone watching, if you're outside LA, like how that line hits, because we know exactly what you're talking about, because we see it. We see it, and it's like, but I don't know, it just makes me wonder, like, oh, like what little Myron out in like Valparaiso, Indiana thinks of this. Is like,
and again, like we talked about earlier, building empathy. You know what I'm saying? Like just saying that, and like being a Los Angelino, you know, like what county is. You know what that feels like. You know what like people go through. You know what I'm saying? And I imagine it is a whole different trip if you like. You would never feel this in the same way if you weren't from LA. Like that shit hit you gutturally. Like, oh, I didn't even
put that together until you said it. West, homie.
West.
Yeah,
hey, but yeah, like on some like how the struggles of homeless people like all across the country. It's just the country, not even in the world, but just the country is like must be vastly different. How like a homeless person in Florida, what they go through, versus a homeless person out in New York, versus a homeless person out in like Wyoming, what they go through. But like yours is like super LA experience. I didn't even think about that, because it's like every line was just hitting for me. Like, yeah, I get that. But I didn't even think about that, yo.
Yeah, with again collective experience,
fresh coast, bro.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the specificity of the experience. The normative grade experience, which is what we all collectively can experience, right? Poverty is poverty, as you were saying it earlier, is the difference between being broke and being poor, right? Poverty can be experienced in different ways anywhere in the country, but we all know what it's like to feel alone. We all know what it feels like to be unsupported. We all know what it feels like to feel pain, whether it's hunger, whether it's emotional, psychological, physical, right? And I think that when I'm writing, I'm trying to get to that core. I want to be able, through the specificity of something that's very Angelino, like say, County USC, how to find those grains of truth that connect all of us to that experience, whether you're listening to this piece or you're watching it in Mumbai, right? Or if you're in Venezuela, in Caracas, or wherever part in the world where suffering is happening, that's something that will connect us. Even if you're from a upper class family, right? If you're with the Drumps, but if you have a moment of empathy, you can understand what that feels like. You can understand it because there will be a experience that can tie you to that. And that's all we really need.
Everyone struggles. Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone struggles, whether you're rich or poor. We all have to wake up every morning. We all got to get dressed. The sun doesn't shine just for certain people. It shines for everybody. You know what I mean?
And you get that so masterfully. Like the whole like attachment, the way that the emotions throughout the poem, just like it was so very close, like to the heart. Like I felt that all the way throughout. Like when you wrote the line, was missing information on the application. Each question I skipped killed a bit more of my motivation. It's like whether you're undocumented or you have like a felony or this is your first job, so you don't have any employment history, or you're trying to go into a new career and you don't have any relevant work experience
or degree,
education, It's like those three lines, like they hit on so many broad levels, but it works so specifically for the story being told. Right. It was like, that is like so ill. That was ill.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only commentary I can say about that is that, we live in a society where, you need to have identifiers. Identity is everything, right? The identity is what creates individuality. And we strive so much for individuality in society today. And we had a whole discussion about that earlier, that it creates a generality in people, right? And something as simple as having proper identification for someone that doesn't have a home, for someone that doesn't have an address or a car or a job or stability, there's a loss of identity there. And then the paperwork just becomes a reflection of that, or the lack of the paperwork becomes a reflection of the loss of identity. Is the question that I guess I'm trying to pose is how can you remain individualized? How can you be valid? How can you count when you don't have a piece of paper, when you don't have a plastic card that says you are
and
this?
That's a crazy concept. Like we take for granted identification.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially like if you're born here and you just a citizen, you take for granted your fucking ID. For your identification doesn't inform your identity, so to speak, because again, you take it for granted. But if you come here or you make it here, you know what I'm saying?
You're just born in the cuts, like a lot of natives in the reservation life.
Yeah.
All about that hashtag res life. It's like, that's wild that like you could have like a whole 3-4 generations of family that are just not in the books.
Off the grid.
And again, like going back to that like universal concepts, those making this relatable to everybody. Right. We all have identification, whether you do or don't. You know what I'm saying? You are identified as something by somebody,
and you all need it.
Yeah, word, and it's something that.
How you gonna get ID if I don't have ID and I need ID?
Yeah, word. Moving on off the threads and line and onto the 2-piece.
Yes, sir. Y'all watch the Pen Clique on YouTube, so y'all know what to do.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, ride, survive.
Thank y'all.
Love y'all.